Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. I was listening to a podcast on how Amazon is being challenged with a antitrust suit, an antitrust lawsuit. And one of the arguments being held against Amazon is when you order through Amazon, that the shipping, the arrival of what you've ordered, comes so fast. And because this is so fast, the propensity for people to buy is more. And many studies have shown that if the shipping was slower, then people wouldn't buy as much. If you think about this logically, we want something because it comes fast, but that means we don't really want that something. We're distracted by the fastness of it. Remind me, what age of society do we live in right now? Kali Yuga. What's a sign of Kali? Fastness, where people don't think, they react. I believe this is called impulse shopping. Meaningful Mornings is a super program on being intentional. That we should focus on what's important and not on the periphery. Bhagavad Gita's chapter 16 has a focus on asuras. The word asura means the one with no light. Practically, it is the one who does not engage in self-development. They always feel heavy and never engage in feeling more light-hearted, feeling more light-footed, light-headed, and so on. I've been zooming into this over the past mornings on how the more we say yes to socializing, the more we stay in the darkness. The more we say no to socializing, the more we come out of that darkness. When I was in the ashram, our days were long, 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. And sometimes, Puja Swami Tejo Mayananda's batchmates, other senior teachers would come to the ashram to meet with Puja Swami Tejo Mayananda. And so after dinner, they would have satsanga. So this is at 10 p.m. at night. We all have to get up at 4 and so on. And so in my mind, I felt, I'm too tired. I'm too sleepy. This will jeopardize my next day. But one of my batchmates had thoughtfully shared with me, you never know what will happen to you in satsanga. He meant this in the positive. You're all thinking in the negative. And that this opportunity won't come again. You'll get a chance to sleep again, to wake up again. And that one dialogue with my batchmate changed my narrative towards satsanga, that I should say no to that which is ordinary so that I can be in this opportunity to feel extraordinary. In this series of verses, particularly the last one, Shri Krishna shares, the one who's not working to be lighter is weighed down by worry. In the Mahabharata, in the Yaksha Prashna, this is what we're exploring in our Thursday night study group. One of the questions asked is, what is there more of than blades of grass in the world? What is there more of than blades of grass in the world? And the answer is Worries. More than the number of blades of grass in the world. Not all of our worries, just one person's worries. Our worries, they happen for so many reasons. One social reason they happen is because we want to be liked. And we worry that people won't like us, don't like us. But that other person is worried about the same towards you. That you won't like them, that you don't like them. Why don't you stop playing this mind game and help another to stop playing this mind game too? The less one lives by likes, the less worries one has. Sharing a few more references before we get into our next verse. Soon, you will find out about our upcoming happiness series. This starts on December 4th. Our diverse growth team is thinking about what the focus should be. I suggested it be on mental health. Someone had asked me, what lowers my mental health? And I had shared, when I do that which is meaningless. When I'm doing something that is meaningless, my mind feels more and more and more weak. And the antidote to this meaninglessness is to do that which is meaningful. First, do that which is meaningful, then start to feel what you're doing is meaningful. Swami Chinmayananda writes. They do realize that a life dedicated to an endless hunt after sense gratifications is a tragic way of living, and that in such a scheme of existence, the individual is called upon to pay an extraordinary price for relatively insignificant gains. And yet they continue a life seeking satisfaction of their uncontrolled lust. If you question them, their answer is that life is nothing but a series of such strifes. They know not of any life, the contents of which are peace and joy. They are generally pessimistic, and since they avidly avoid seriously thinking about life, they invariably come to feel stress, anxiety, and dejection. Leaving verse 11, when we live a life where there's no self-development, where there's no serious thinking, then all that is described about darkness that applies to us. To come out of this darkness, one has to walk. One has to be active. It doesn't just come with age. Verse 12. Asha pasha shater baddhaha kama krodha parayanaha ihante kama bhogartam anyayen artha sanchayam. Joy. Asha, many people here are named Asha, in a pure way means aspiration. So what does Asha mean here? It means expectation. Aspiration, that's the pure narrative. The ineffective narrative is expectation. This expectation becomes a pasha. Pasha means net or mesh or cage. Shater baddhaha, we have hundreds, thousands of expectations, and this causes us to be bound in this net. Where is this net? Our own mind. One who's living by such an asha is one who's trying to change their context to be peaceful. Is that possible? Zooming into this more, it is someone who's trying to change people. Can you change people so that they're conducive to your peace? Has that worked for you? For all of the people who have been married for a long time, some of you are sitting beside each other. Has it worked for you? That's what Asha is. Such a person deflects. They don't take responsibility of their own peace. They deflect this, that if I change the context, if I change people, then I will be peaceful. Sharing this quarter in one more way. The one who lives by expectation is one who is not engaged in swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is you raising your expectations of yourself and reducing expectations of others. That's where there's a shift from expectation to aspiration. So if your parents named you Asha, it is aspiration, not expectation. Good so far. Now, trying to change the context, trying to change people doesn't work. So, parayanaha, what follows is kama and krodha. The expectation gets crystallized into becoming a desire. Now, how often are our desires completed? They're not. So we feel krodha. One who's trying to find external completion is one who doesn't learn. A sign of not learning is one does not grow through their individual experiences. Our Creator has custom designed our life for us to learn to be peaceful. But if someone is not learning, that means they're not listening to this divine message in the form of what's happening to us. Reading from Puja Swami Chinmayananda. Such an individual becomes restless and impatient with things that happen around them and soon loses their balance of mind, their sense of judgment, irritated and constantly unhappy with themselves and their environments. Such a human is seen in life given to yearnings and anger. Is this practical for everyone? Next quarter. Ihante, they do exert kama bhogartham. Their purpose or artham is bhoga, the enjoyment of kama, desires. Their sense organs engaging in sense objects. Logically, for all of us, we don't need pleasure, possession, and position. Why is this logical? Because when we do get pleasure, possession, and position, we still want more of it. If we needed it, when we got it, it would end, but more comes. This shows what we need is peace, because once you feel peace, you don't need more of it. This feels natural. A quote from Puja Swami Tejomayananda. This was posted on social media some weeks ago. Even though we seem to have many desires, we seem to want so many objects. That's why Amazon is worth so much. Because we don't follow this. But all those desires for various objects are only for happiness. You don't desire a new shirt. You don't desire a vacation on a cruise ship. What you desire is happiness. Why go in such a circular way to change context, to change people? Change yourself. Raise your expectation of who you are from the mind to the intellect to the ego to the spirit. Anya artha sanchayan. Those who don't engage in self-development, then their conduct, their lifestyle is about possessing more and more and more. At the end of the Ramayana, there's a beautiful valedictory address. And one of the points that's made in this final message, the exact words in Avadhi or Hindi are, Parama Dharma Shruti Vidita. What the maps teach, that the highest responsibility, and the answer is ahimsa. Our maps are guiding us to our highest responsibility, which means non-harming. Starting with oneself. How do you not harm yourself? By living a life of self-development, or meaning, or satsanga seva. Then one grows from being an asura to a sura. For those who don't harm themselves, they don't harm the people in the context around them. Happy people are the best for the environment. Unhappy people are the worst for the environment. Because asha, they keep expecting context to bring them contentment. Please reflect on these verses, because you may feel that the message is redundant, but there's certain words that are brought up to make this more personal to us. But if you deflect, you won't feel that. From inspiration to application, your application yesterday was to take a sankalpa that you will say no to socializing. There's a saying in Hindi, jiski lathi uski bhains. Have you heard about this before? It means whoever has the stick, they are the owner of that buffalo. The implication of this is, if everyone else is doing it, then it must be right. Those who are thoughtless, just say yes. Everyone else is going to this party. Everyone else is going to this birthday. So you say yes too. But for the one who's thoughtful, just because I have the stick may not mean that I own this buffalo. Maybe that person owns the buffalo. Your application for this morning. We have 12 verses left in this chapter, which we're going to complete over the next 10 days. And that means we're going to continue our study over the next 2 weekends. On Saturday, October 14th, this is when we are going to complete chapter 16. This is when we're going to get oriented to the highest vocation. More than 100 of you have signed up for contemplation. On Sunday, October 15th, we are going to start chapter 17. And this is the start of Navaratri. Be ready for all of this, and I'll share more details about how we're going to celebrate the completion and commencement of these 2 chapters tomorrow. Shanti, 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 Be joy.